Good evening, Liberty lovers. My name is Martha Bueno, and I am here, as always, with my co-host, Mr. Zach Foster. Hello, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm great. How are you?
I am fantastic. We have what I find to be a great show tonight. We're going to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that. We're going to talk about the things that we've accomplished in this past few weeks.
Yeah, sure.
Here with Latin Libertarians. And we're going to have people ask us some questions. I hope, please, if you're watching, please submit questions for either Zach or myself or Latin Libertarians, People for Liberty, anything we're working on, anything we're going to touch on, Cuba, Venezuela, et cetera. Please ask us.
Latin American politics, relevant LP positions for Latin American politics so our federal candidates don't look like idiots, that type of thing.
Right, especially if you are a candidate, definitely want.
Having personally dealt with blowback from people on the campaign tweeting the wrong thing in 2020, I promise you there is absolutely blowback when we're not informed about our positions.
Oh, definitely. I think we all know which campaign we're talking about, but absolutely. So first thing, I think we need to discuss a major event for the Libertarians around the world that happened today in Barcelona. It is with great sadness that we are hearing that John McAfee has passed. Were you aware of this, Zach?
I was indeed aware of this from the first few minutes that it was reported, from the first few minutes that it was leaked from the prison.
Yeah, absolutely terrible. And of course, it would not be libertarian of us if we did not say that he was suicided rather than committed suicide. So we don't know what's happening. But our sincere condolences to the McAfee family and to his wife. Absolutely tragic.
I would like to take this opportunity. This is a very strange moment for me. My feelings are very mixed. For starters, I'm going to tell you guys, I don't think that McAfee deserved to die for any reasons. Just end of story. I was not on good terms with him at the moment that he left this earth. He was a very controversial character. We can leave it at that. My personal disagreement, which I'm just being absolutely honest about my relationship with this individual, because I'm still processing this. I was extremely upset with him last summer. I was extremely upset with him during the summer of 2020. I understand he's been running from the U.S. authorities. The part where he lost me is when he went to try to get asylum in Cuba, and he was having meetings with Diaz-Canel and other high-ranking people from the Cuban government. He was tweeting these ridiculousness like, oh, look, I'm walking around in Havana and there's lots of food in the market here. I guess the U.S. is lying. And if you think Che Guevara was a terrorist, then you are misinformed. The reason why this was upsetting to me is because at the time there were still capital L Cuban libertarians in a labor prison for having Murray Rothbard books. And here this dude was tweeting propaganda about Che Guevara. And that was not okay with me back then. It's not okay with me now. And whatever happened, I don't think that John McAfee deserved to be dead. End of story. So I'm going to extend my condolences to Janice. I love Janice. Janice McAfee is a very kind gal, and she is proof that anybody can have a past and be a decent person today.
That is very well put. I did not know Mr. McAfee personally. And so I agree with you. I think that the Cuban propaganda was very hurtful, especially to the people that we know and care about in Cuba. And, he does have a very big reach, and that was a big problem, I think, for us. But at the end of the day, like you said, he did not deserve to die. And essentially, he was if he did commit suicide, it was related to his charge of evading taxes. And so nobody should ever be killed or feel the need to be in that position, to fear coming back to the United States because of a tax evasion, or because you think that the government's going to take your money. It's such a horrible story all around. And again, my condolences to his family. And so I guess all our comments are just going to be about McAfee. So
please don't do that to this episode, people. Please ask normal questions.
Yes, please. We would like to move on and discuss, as we said, there's a lot of advocacy that not just us, but we are doing for the community. Our goal here and in the Spanish version that we do is to discuss the things going on in Latin America, things going on in the Hispanic community, because it's really important. There is a lot of people in this country who are Hispanic or Hispanic descent who haven't heard about the Libertarian Party. And this is something that's really important to all of us. There's a lot of people who vote for Republicans or Democrats because they haven't heard of what it is that the Libertarian Party does and what we believe in. And it's important. And I think we need to discuss these topics and discuss it with people in Spanish, in the language that they know and understand. And that's what our mission is.
Absolutely. So in between answering questions, why don't we show them a little bit of the work that we've done as far as being ambassadors for the Libertarian Party in the Spanish language. I will surprise some of you folks maybe. It's not just our show that we do in Spanish. Martha and I, on a pretty regular basis these days, are doing interviews in Spanish with different media outlets, different levels of viewership, and we're getting the message out there about our party, our philosophy, and what people can actually do to make this world a freer world.
So we're going to start first, Zach, with the Patipoleo one. Is that good for you?
No. Do that the last one. Do that one last.
Come on. I love
No. That one has to be last.
All right. So we're going to go with your other video.
Fine.
You get to go first. All right. Let me press play.
¿Dónde sabes tanto o por qué sabes tanto? Porque fíjate que hay muchos venezolanos que eso no lo entienden. No entienden que este acuerdo pudiera llevarnos a unas elecciones para que se mida Leopoldo López, que es el jefe de Guaidó, es quien está haciendo también.
Now, to compare this, to help you guys compare, Univision, Global Vision, and Telemundo, biggest Spanish language news networks. This guy was on one of the top 3.
Al resto de América Latina, especialmente Venezuela y Nicaragua, cuales actualmente están bajo ocupaciones militares por el régimen cubano, y es otra razón por la que vamos a elecciones con los chavistas para que ellos ganen, pero eso no tiene que ver nada con los militares cubanos controlando ese narcoestado. Nada.
Bueno, por supuesto, nada que ver. Yo tengo una posición idéntica a la tuya, no por eso te estoy entrevistando, porque me hubiera gustado que difiriéramos en algo para por lo menos tener un debate, pero desafortunadamente es así. Veo que nos están llevando a una carnicería, pero me...
All right, so you tell us now, because I think with the volume it was hard. I'm sorry, guys. I'm a terrible producer. Please don't hold it against me when there's no volume. I'm working on it.
You can hold it against her, just don't leave.
Yes, please. Stay, be with us. So, So, okay, so tell us who that guy was again. I'm sorry.
The gentleman's name is Alejandro Marcano. He is a Venezuelan journalist, an award-winning journalist. He's lived in the United States and broadcasted out of Miami for many years. Now comparable to ABC, CBS, Fox, MSNBC. In the Spanish language world, the top 3 news outlets are Univision, Telemundo, and Globovisión. This guy worked with Globovisión for many years, and he chose to interview me for his show. And that aired this morning, actually. And people are still squawking in my inbox who are either elated or absolutely pissed off about things that I said on the show. And that's exactly what we're looking for.
What things are they really upset about, Zach?
For starters, they are upset. Some people are upset that I said my opinion that for the Venezuelan opposition to go to elections with the regime is an absolutely cruel joke. For those of you who are up to speed on Venezuelan politics, the Venezuelan opposition is a false opposition. They have been so for years. As far as the U.S. funding Guaido, that absolutely makes me want to tear my hair out, because Guaido's false opposition. He's not even doing what he's supposed to be doing with the U.S. taxpayer money. He's just basically like a life vest for the regime, pretending to be oxygen. And I was saying this, and I was telling people, you go to elections with these knuckleheads, you're going to have more years of communism, end of story. And because I made a video about that on my Instagram in the last couple of days, that guy saw that, he agreed with me, and he wanted to bring me on his show. And then I started talking about ways that the Venezuelan people can free themselves without having to ask Uncle Sam for help, without having to bring in foreign intervention from all these other countries and their governments, just how Venezuelans can do this themselves. And the key was...
Quick, short answer. You want to sum it up for us?
Yes, it is a mathematical reality that there are more Venezuelan anti-communist bodies than there are rounds that they could fit into their rifles. And for many years, the false opposition has led people to believe otherwise.
So basically, rise up.
Yeah, rise up, exactly. What I've always wanted since I got involved in helping Venezuelan libertarians as an individual about 4 years ago, I always wanted the Venezuelans to free themselves, because Uncle Sam, the CIA, the State Department, many times have proven themselves to be like a reverse King Midas. Everything that they touch turns to lead, and that's just bad.
Turns to lead. I like that. That's a good one. So in between, I think if it's okay with you, let's take some questions. What's your plan to make the Libertarian Party more known to the Hispanic community? So I think that's what we've been attempting to do. And our plan is a lot of different things. So again, this show here in English is not only to educate our libertarian friends in English about the issues that are happening in Latin America and within the Hispanic community, but we are also hoping to reach out to Hispanics that don't speak Spanish here. And then we have the same format in Spanish, completely 100% in Spanish. In another group, in another area, we're with People for Liberty there. We have a show that we interact with different people in the Latin American community, especially in Latin America, because it's really important for people here to understand that the Latin community doesn't disassociate with their homes. So you move to the United States, but you're still in contact with your 25 cousins that you have back home. So, for example, our best watched show in Spanish, except for one that we did with Gloria Alvarez, which is a internationally known
Libertarian.
Beyond a Libertarian, right? She's known all over the place. Was one we did with an activist from a Libertarian party in Peru. So that was really great. And we're connecting with different groups across Latin America. So we've, at this point, I think we have connections with pretty much every country in Latin America, with groups within each country. And so we're putting out content. We're also doing interviews in Spanish. Zach and I started as Joe Jorgensen's Hispanic outreach, which wasn't a position that she was looking to fill. It was a position that we told her she had to have. And that's kind of how we got started. And we made the decision and the commitment to stay in this for the next, until the next election cycle at a minimum. It is something that Zach and I promised to do, because we can't stop. You know, it's not just when there's elections that this matters. It has to be constant, guys. You know, everybody in the party has to keep pushing and promoting our ideas and doing these things. And Zach and I speak Spanish, and we really want to get people involved, you know, from all walks of life. So if you want to join us, whether you speak Spanish or not, come join us. You know, we need lots of help. There's a lot of content. There's a lot of stuff to do. Zach, did I leave anything out? Do you want to add something to that?
Everything that she just said, plus we're continuing to do media interviews in Spanish. And from where we started this project compared to today, the profile of people who want to interview us is getting higher and higher. So we do see growth. We see movement in a particular direction in that sense. And we're incredibly pleased for the progress we've made.
Right. 2 people, no budget, just
working.
Just a camera. And, you know, again, thanks to the Libertarian Party who allowed us this platform because, you know, we're working to improve the Libertarian Party, but believe it or not, it's not so easy to get people to rally behind your dream, your vision of what you want to do. And so same with People for Liberty who have been very kind to us. So, and all of our friends that share our stuff and everybody who watches. I mean, it's definitely been endearing, and we're grateful. So let's go to another clip. What do you say, Zach? What do you want to say next?
Let's do a clip of you.
Oh, gosh.
Let's show one of your interviews. Yeah, we're gonna do this.
Oh boy. All right, we're gonna go with Milanes, just because he's great.
Don't go anywhere.
What?
I said don't go anywhere.
Don't go anywhere.
Okay, no, ahora
entra la invitada.
Hola, buenas noches.
¿Cómo está?
¿Cómo están? Gracias por tenerme.
No, gracias a ti por aceptar la invitación, Coqui. Y para los que no la conocen, Marta Buena es candidata a comisionada por el Distrito 10 para el 2022. Ya se está postulándose, vamos a hablar sobre eso. Ella es libertaria, o sea, conoce muy bien esta bandera de que va. Es la vicepresidenta del Partido Libertario en Miami-Dade, el condado de Miami-Dade. Y nosotros queremos hacer este acercamiento, la invitamos.
Nacieron mis hermanos en New Jersey, yo nací aquí en Miami, y en los finales de los 80 nos mudamos a Venezuela. Nosotros hicimos lo contrario de lo que hacen los venezolanos ahora que vienen a los Estados Unidos. Nosotros nos fuimos de los Estados Unidos para Venezuela. Viví 6 años en Maracaibo y he crecido toda una vida sabiendo no solo sobre el régimen cubano, no solo sobre lo que luchaban mis padres por salir, no solo mi papá, él sabía que no tenía futuro en Cuba, él sabía que él no iba a estudiar marxismo y leninismo y no iba a estudiar eso y por lo tanto nunca se iba a poder graduar, nunca iba a poder salir adelante. Entonces quiso salir de allá, se vino para acá, trabajó durísimo, pudo sacar a mis abuelos y a mi tío y a mi mamá y a mi hermano y hicieron su familia aquí en los Estados Unidos y luego, como les conté, nos fuimos a Venezuela, mi papá es ganadero y en esos entonces Venezuela era una maravilla. Venezuela, no te digo que era el mejor país del mundo porque no lo era, pero era maravilloso, había negocio, yo vivía en un colegio buenísimo en Maracaibo, tengo muchas amistades que nadie queda en Venezuela de esas personas, pero bueno, tuve una vida muy feliz, muy contenta en Venezuela y me recuerdo, ya cuando nos veníamos de regreso a Miami fue porque Chávez estaba ganando. Y mi papá dijo, no, yo esto ya lo viví en mi pueblo, lo viví en Cuba, yo no lo voy a volver a vivir, me voy, nos vamos. Y efectivamente mi papá empezó a vender lo que tenía allá, su finca, sus cosas. Nos vinimos aquí de nuevo a Miami y ahí estamos. All righty. Let me remove that.
That was a pretty good clip and a pretty good interview. I remember watching that one live and then just seeing all the comments flooded in of all the Cuban dudes in Florida who are in love with you.
And he was probably the biggest interview I've had thus far in Hispanic media. There where you see them, they have maybe it's close to 60,000 people that watch every single day. So
yeah, that guy, his name is Manuel Milanes. He is a Cuban immigrant who moved to Florida like many other Cubans looking for better opportunities. And he's a huge libertarian. and he was absolutely elated when he found out about Libertarios Hispanos. And he attended the event that you and I had in Florida with Gloria Alvarez and Antonella Marti. He bought a bunch of books, and then after that, he interviewed the both of us separately on his show.
Yes, yes. And, you know, he's exactly the type of attention we're trying to get, which is here within the United States, within the community. And he's also very libertarian leaning. Everything we said, he pretty much agreed with. So those are the type of alliances I think we're trying to establish and connect and, you know, reach out to more people who have podcasts, who have shows, who have radio shows, whatever it is, to help, you know, educate people as to we're here. Hi.
Let's take a couple more questions.
Let's take some more. So I'm just going down the list. There's a lot of McAfee. Oh, why did we join the Libertarian Party?
You start.
Me first? No. Okay, fine. I voted for George W. in 2000, and then I completely regretted that decision. That was the first vote I was able to make in a presidential campaign, and I was appalled. I was appalled when we went to war. I was appalled, you know, decision after decision that I could not comprehend. I couldn't comprehend how we were going to war with Afghanistan when it was the Saudis that had, you know, caused 9/11. It wasn't good. And I heard from my uncle who was like, I think you're a libertarian. I was like, what's a libertarian? And I researched and I found out I was in fact a libertarian. I didn't actively join the party until 2016. I saw a Facebook post that Gary Johnson was doing, you know, I had voted Libertarian, of course. Don't come at me with that. I had voted Libertarian. I just was not active in the party. I'm also a mom of 4. So, you know, that took a little precedence in my life. And I saw that Gary Johnson was doing something out in New Mexico, and I flew out there and I worked the polls, the voting polls, the day of the election out there with the Libertarian Party of New Mexico. I met some great people, and then came to the election party, had a great time, and I got contacted by the Miami-Dade party after that, and they're like, come join us. And I did. I immediately became the chair, the vice chair, for 4 years, and here I am. So you never know. What about you, Zach?
I was driven away from the Republican Party during the Ron Paul era. I make no bones about it. The people in the Republican Party of California and the National Republican Party made it abundantly clear that I and people like me were not welcome in their hyper-conservative party. They liked the spying. They liked the wars in the Middle East. They liked the war on drugs. They were absolutely enamored with all that garbage. And everything that Ron Paul was preaching, they were just not interested in it. Their treatment of him and their disenfranchisement of his duly elected delegates at the 2012 Republican National Convention actually showed me at that point the precedent of how the Republicans are the first ones to complain about communist regimes, but then behave like those same communist regimes when it comes to political power grabs or suppressing rivals. So the fact that they have been gaslighting the country for months and months and months, talking about, oh, these people stole the election from Trump. These people stole the delegate nomination process a freaking decade ago from one of the candidates in their own party that they didn't like. And they just started increasing their level of BS. And I was able to see it as of a decade ago. It took me a minute to formally join the LP because I was one of those Liberty Republicans that was kind of just floating around like a Thetan waiting to occupy a body. And eventually I had a series of conversations with Boomer Shannon. Everybody give a round of applause to Boomer Shannon. He did about 90% of the work of recruiting me. The last 10% of getting me in the Libertarian Party was actually a gal who was working in the party at the time, whom unfortunately is no longer involved with the party, but I'm still here.
Well, she did a good job of recruiting you. And, well, I guess this is why we need more Liberty ladies, I guess, to bring in more Liberty guys. Or not, whatever.
No, all the Liberty guys who like to talk all kinds of smack about how, you know, I'm a Libertarian, but like, I'm never going to vote for the LP. We need Liberty ladies to rope in those SOBs.
Which I think this is a good segue. So I did an interview with also his name is Zach, who the reason
There can only be one.
there's a lot of libertarians who are named Zach. Just in Florida, when we were at the convention, I was hanging out with two. It was Zach Square.
Oh yeah, but at least that was it wasn't Zach Squared. There was East Coast Zach and West Coast Zach, and there was like no opposition. It was like two great men from East and West came together and met in the middle, and it was epicness all around.
So
you're just jealous that your name's not Zach.
You are correct. So here's another Zach, who I did last night, his live on Instagram. And the reason I did it is because
funny.
he has like sound effects. I mean, it's just, he's great. But the reason I did it last night, I've done his show before, is because he has been getting all these ladies that are telling him in Spanish, no, you're a guy. No woman thinks the way you do. So he called me up and he's like, can you please come do this and tell the ladies that there are women that believe the way I do. So I'm sorry, I will torture you with this one.
Inhumana que hacemos en este país. Y peor de todo, me da una rabia que me saquen de mi bolsillo para seguir.
It's coming in English in a minute, guys. Give it a minute.
Just a minute.
En fin, nos duele en nuestro propio bolsillo, ¿no?
And for those who don't speak Spanish, what she said, long story short, a bunch of
I can go over in English. All right, let's do this again in English. So the reasons why drug problems in this country are a problem. First of all, what we do to Latin America and what we do to other countries, we prohibit other countries from growing it. So all these farmers in Colombia or Venezuela that would make money growing coca leaves or whatever, and turning it into cocaine, or they could turn it in here, instead of them being able to grow crops that are, make them money, we force them into poverty because they can't grow those crops. And then we cause the problem with cartels. I mean, you only have to go back to prohibition to realize that making something illegal doesn't make it go away. It just makes cartels. I mean, we all know the stories of like the 1920s and the 1930s. Like, prohibition doesn't work. It doesn't work in anything, in any form. That's one problem, what we do around the world with our drug prohibition. And then what we do to people here in the United States, where we basically tell them that their drug addiction deserves jail time, and we put them away for a long time, and we destroy people's lives over it, and it's inhumane. And if you do have a drug problem and you do want help, there's nowhere for you to go seek that help. So I find it extremely just inhumane what we do to these people.
She ripped it in English form. Usually I'm the translator. We gotta do it.
It's funny when you speak two languages, huh?
All right. So
I absolutely love that he does the sound effects throughout the entire show.
he's hilarious. You know what's funny is when you talk to him on the phone, he does the same thing on the phone. So
oh my gosh, bro. So they're like trying to steal our Second Amendment, right? It's like, where's
Oh, no, Zach. Right in the middle. You just cut out right in the middle. You got to do that again.
Oh, what, the impression of the New York Libertarian guy? Oh, bro, they're trying to like steal our Second Amendment. Man, it's just wrecking us, bro. It's like, it's not right.
I love him. And you know what? It's something.
He's a good guy. I've watched a number of his shows. He's a great guy.
He is.
He needs to join the party.
Is he not?
Other Zach, join the party.
Is he not an official libertarian? I think he is.
Is he an official libertarian? Zach, you better be an official libertarian. I know you're already in the Hispanic Libertarians caucus, Zach, and that you're not creating work for me by having to like formally recruit you, other Zach.
Well, I will work on formally recruiting him if not. Here's another question. How can I share that there's another opportunity? I suppose that means that there's
another opportunity for what?
I don't know. I guess just share our content if you can. Let people know. I think the best thing that people can do is just talk to your neighbors, talk to your friends, tell them about liberty. Who doesn't like to be free? Seriously, we have the best platform. We want you to be free. We want you to be free in all aspects of life. We want you to not be harassed by the government. And we don't want them to take more money out of your pockets. Where is the downside? Go talk about it. It's real easy. Do you have a favorite news source or newspaper for Latin American politics? Zach, you first, and I guess we each give one or two.
Yeah, sure. There is no one all-encompassing paper that really covers Latin American politics. One that I like is the Pan Am Post, despite their right-wing leaning. But I've known a number of their journalists. Most of those folks have had integrity, and the ones that don't are no longer part of Pan Am Post. But they actually have content in Spanish and in English, so y'all can go on Pan Am Post anytime, read the news. One of my all-time favorite news websites is the Caracas Chronicles. If you want perspectives on Venezuela from biased and neutral folks who speak English, because the whole website is written in English, Caracas Chronicles is outstanding.
For me, my favorite, and it's in Spanish, so I will apologize to the English speakers. I don't know if there's a way to get it in English, but it is 14 y medio, which is done by Yoani Sanchez from Havana. So she uses a VPN, and she uses her cell phone, and she records a short 10-minute thing in the mornings and uploads it. And this is amazing on so many levels, because the fact that she's able to get out an actual audio newspaper out of Cuba about the issues happening in Cuba is pretty amazing. And it's 100% due to the fact that now they have cell phones, which was not a thing until fairly recently. And then they also have a website. So 14 y medio from Yoani Sanchez. I listen to it every day religiously. You know, it's not a good day unless I've heard it. And you hear all the things going on in Cuba, and it's pretty sad and terrible. And so
yeah, that too.
Yeah. So there's that one. I'm going to skip over. Is Atlas Shrugged the Libertarian Bible? No, it's libertarian reading for sure. If you like stories,
it's a good book if you want like a long philosophical read. But straight up, as far as fiction goes, Stephen King wrote a way better libertarian novel with The Stand than Ayn Rand could ever have hoped to write in all her years of cheating on Nathaniel Branden and talking crap about libertarians.
Yes. So you've told me I have not read it yet. There is a lot of stuff that I try to consume.
Well, I did. I read Atlas Shrugged, but I gotta be like straight disclosure with our audience. I absolutely skipped 30 pages from John Galt's radio speech.
Yeah, that one was. Oh,
I was like, all right, John Galt, I get it. Communism's bad. Let's go. Come on, let's free the world now.
If you know me, I like audiobooks because that way I can multitask and listen to an audiobook while I'm doing other things. And I heard Atlas Shrugged. And yes, that was the longest speech, even in audio. I think that was like 2 hours worth.
Yeah, it was like 2 to 3 hours of the audiobook was just the radio speech.
Yeah, and I mean, the full audiobook is like 60 hours worth of reading. So it's quite a bit. I tried reading it years ago, actual reading it, and I didn't get very far. Again, it's very long. So how do you persuade people to shift their thinking from what can the government do for me to what can we do for each other? People on far left want their free stuff. Yes, they do. That is an excellent question. What say you, Zach?
To start off with, to get them to stop asking, what can the government do for me? You get them to start asking, what has the government done to me? And what is the government still doing to me or to people that I care about? A lot of people want Medicare for all. A lot of people want free college. A lot of people want a UBI because these are very sexy terms and they don't understand Austrian economics or even Chicago school economics, even Keynes. They don't understand that. They just repeat what is told to them by politicians and media people, which I'm not putting shade on the politicians and media people per se. I'm putting shade on people who just accept information without doing due diligence to see if it's true or not. Yeah, that's the big question. You get them to realize how people are being victimized. What is their pet victimization? Is it LGBT rights? Is it racism? Is it Latino rights or immigrant rights? Whatever it is, people in the Middle East, whatever it is, there's a lot of pain. And get them to ask, what are they doing to me? What are they doing to people that I care about? And then after that, it just naturally shifts to what can we do for each other? Because at that point, it's really, what can I do for other people as an activist?
I'm just going to second what you said. I agree. I think that, when you look at how your daily life goes, there's a lot of things that the government keeps you from doing. And those are the things. So it depends on who you're speaking to. But if you're talking to somebody, for example, who's in a trade that needs a license and they pay a lot of money for it. So I have my real estate license, and coincidentally right now I have to pay to keep it. Right now I have to send them $900 to keep it for the next year. So it's $900 for a license just to be able to tell somebody I can sell their home. And so, you know, those type of things, when people have less money in their pockets because they pay taxes, it depends who you're talking to. But I think there's a lot of things that you can just engage with people and explain and show them how the government is actually hurting them more than they're helping. And I think that's something that we can all do in our personal lives. I encourage people to go out and speak to people. Patrick is saying, I can no longer identify with anyone but libertarian. I feel you, but that's the wrong attitude in my mind. I think that you really need to go out there and engage with people and realize that most people just don't know. They don't know what they don't know. We weren't born libertarians. I wasn't born a libertarian. Zach, you weren't born a libertarian. So there's a process to getting here. And you start off somewhere. And usually that's an irritation from the government. And then you learn about it. And then you learn about other irritants that bother you. And I think we need to come at this with a little more compassion.
I would actually recommend, just from personal experience, if you cannot identify with anyone but libertarian, for starters, I understand. I have thought that before several times myself. But the conclusion that I came to was that was a result of a little bit of social isolation, because I'd gotten to a point in my life where I was primarily socializing with people in an echo chamber. So one thing that I did to reestablish my connection, or my ability to feel a connection with non-libertarians, was I branched out into hobbies. I'm a nerd. I love Star Wars. I have a passion for Star Wars. I have written websites, I've written articles on different libertarian websites, other people's libertarian blogs, doing libertarian analyses of Star Wars theory. I swear to God, I literally, it was on the Yale blog, I believe. I published an article about Darth Plagueis, the Star Wars prequel novel, and the Federal Reserve, and how in the galaxy, the intergalactic banking clan is financing both sides of the war. But the culmination of that was in 2016, during the Libertarian National Convention in Orlando, in the courtyard area, there was a table full of these dudes who, at first glance, they looked like they were in a motorcycle club, because they were all wearing motorcycle style cuts. And turns out these guys were Star Wars fans, and their cuts were not motorcycle jackets, but they were Star Wars cuts. So they had Star Wars patches on their uniforms. They were not libertarians, but I sat down and I bummed their cigarettes for a good hour and a half while we talked about Star Wars and human freedom. And a couple of those dudes, they didn't end up as party members, but they did end up voting libertarian.
I'm just going to share this very quickly because we're on the subject. So go out into your community. This was a news article that was done a day that I went out to a Bitcoin conference here in Miami and walked around with this poster. Yes, Contra Poder gave us a little news article on this. And so this is what I'm talking about. Just go out into your community. Talk to people. I got to talk to tons of people, and people that I am now making connections thanks to this little stunt that I pulled. Of course, you don't have to go out and do this. I am running for commission, so this is something that I wanted to do to make sure that people know that there is somebody who wants all your freedoms all the time. And one of those freedoms is Bitcoin, or the ability to be able to accept any cryptocurrency you so choose to, and transact in any form of payment that you want to. So there's no bad answer to that question. Go out, do something. Doesn't matter. And I also did see somebody said libertarians made the news. Did we say something silly? So that's our point. Actually,
not this time.
Yeah, I think we're doing some good work here. And if we do make the news for saying something silly, I apologize beforehand. I am human. We are human. But I think we're trying to represent.
I will apologize after we've assessed the level of damage and damage control that needs to be done.
All right. Well, fair enough. This one is not a question, but I just kind of want to put it out there. Daniel May, I voted on Barack Obama until Gary Johnson ran, and Sean Sheridan told me about the Libertarian Party, and Jess Mears. Bravo, Jess Mears. We love her. At least I do. I think she's amazing. she was at that Gary Johnson event that I went to, and I was like, wow, I want to be like her. So Jess Mears got me involved in the LP and then I vote on Jorgensen in 2020. And thanks for answering my question. I paid member since 2017. Recently got the lifetime membership. So yay! I love to hear
Good job on that lifetime.
Yes. For those of you who are wondering what a lifetime membership is, you donate over the course of a year $1,500. It could be all at once or it could be broken up. It comes out to just over $100 a month, and you become a lifetime member, and you get this really cool pin, and you can say that you're a lifetime member. So if anybody else wants to do that, the LP would love to take your cash and make you a lifetime member. Okay, can I finally share your clip that I love, please?
All right, fine. You can share my clip.
Sheesh. You're making me beg for it. Here you go.
Quiero agradecer principalmente a nuestro compañero y amigo Zach Foster.
Gracias a Zach Foster que consiguió, que fue el vínculo para resolver el problema.
Y ese equipo donde está también venezolano por adopción, heredero de esos nativos de los Estados Unidos que estuvieron en la independencia, en la guerra de independencia venezolana. No tiene nada que envidiar de Zach Foster a todos esos. Termina siendo más patriota venezolano Zach Foster que ciertos personajes por ahí.
All right, so you need to now explain what this is for those who didn't understand. You know, you didn't subtitle this one, Zach. Come on.
No, I didn't subtitle that one in particular. I just didn't feel comfortable subtitling that. That was a meme I made out of different journalists and people in the Venezuelan news media who were recognizing me for my contributions to a humanitarian project recently. And just the mention of my name in the news in a very short amount of time, it actually pissed off a number of people in the Venezuelan false opposition. And one of them was Juan Guaido, because I was making fun of him in that meme. So I just took different mentions of my name, and then I put that clip from Rocket Man, which is one of the all-time best movies in the history of ever. If you've never seen Rocket Man, go check it out. And then I made a meme about it, you know, just to kind of make fun of the situation, but especially to troll Juan Guaido.
Yep, I thought that was great. Okay, so here's a great question. What's our view on forgiveness of student loans? So this is one that I absolutely love, and I'm going to just railroad over Zach. Sorry, Zach. I think that it is absolutely horrific to the people who did not go to college because they couldn't afford it, that now they are going to pay for those who went to college instead of going to get a job, you know, like they did. Probably not their favorite job, probably not the thing that they wanted to do, but you know, they did the adult thing and they went out and they got that job. And it's absolutely horrific to now tell a plumber, an electrician, an HVAC repairman, a welder to go and pay for other people who decided to go to their favorite college and go do their things, and they got into debt that they can't afford, and now they're going to have to bail them out. It is so stereotypically government. It is infuriating. So that's my view on it. Anyways, what's yours?
Generally, I agree with you for those same reasons. Somebody specifically made an economic decision to go to college. Somebody else specifically made an economic decision not to do so for the person who decided to go to. Somebody made an economic decision that they were going to work for a full year and save up. Somebody else made an economic decision that they were going to work 2 or 3 jobs on the side and still be a full-time student. And somebody else got themselves into debt for $100,000 for a college degree that may or may not get them a job. And they're very much struggling to find out that they went into debt. And now they're actually having to compete for jobs with these dudes from Mumbai who, like, their education is a Google certification. But, you know, lo and behold, they have the same skill set. So I am against student loan forgiveness. What I would recommend to counterbalance that, especially for the people who are hurting from student loan debt, because being in debt sucks, huge tax breaks for people who are paying off their student loan. Yeah, it's a write-off, but there's not huge tax breaks. I'm talking about what you're still paying for student loans theoretically would be able to like neutralize your annual income tax. That's the level of tax breaks I'm talking about.
I guess I could. I
And
mean,
this is not from Ancapistan. This is arguing policy positions with Republican and Democrat state legislators and things that people are the least likely to argue with you about.
yes, and I am always in favor of anybody paying less taxes, but you know, I don't know that we're going to get our way. Unfortunately, government now just loves to give out our money.
Go figure.
Yeah. All right, let's see.
We can take a couple more questions before we wrap up.
All right, so let's see this one. I'd like to see citizenship offered to every foreign national that graduates college in the U.S. Let's teach them and keep them here. I agree. So one of my very good friends from Venezuela, from when I lived there growing up, came to the United States and studied a PhD in human genetics. The woman is brilliant. And they were telling her she had to leave. Fortunately, she was able to stay. Long story short, she's here. But these are the type of people we want here. We educated them. She's also a libertarian. Shout out to Eliana.
Yay.
Hey. You know, it's incredible that we educate people, that we, you know, these are the people we want here. We want people who like her, who are intelligent, who have a skill, that have something that is going to be very beneficial to this country. And what we say is, sorry, out the door. So I agree. I would love to keep them all here. Yeah.
I'm just going to comment because British went and just opened the floodgates for up to 3 million Hong Kongers to come over there. Colombia just accepted naturalization of over 1 million Venezuelans in that country. Those countries have GDPs and budgets significantly smaller than this one. If they could do it, we could do it too. There's just no excuse other than culture war nonsense.
Agreed. So corporate welfare is far more egregious than paying student loans. Stop corporate welfare, and then we'll sure to pay your student debt. How about no to both? I'm good.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with the corporate welfare part. I don't know if it's more egregious than student loan debt. I'm willing to bet that people who are still indebted for their student loans would probably disagree. That said, corporate welfare is a problem, especially because it's not the free market that we're talking about. It's crony capitalism. It is socialization of risk. We all pay for the risk, but privatization of profits. So everybody pays for the risk, and just a few people get the no. That's not how investments work. That's not how, any mutual fund. All right, you pay this, and our people are going to get all the money, but just trust us. Just you pay this. That's not a selling point. It doesn't work. So yeah, corporate welfare is bad. I like Amazon. I like how Amazon has changed the game in a lot of things. I don't like how all these local governments are bending over backwards to give Amazon free crap compared to other companies.
Including my government. The city of Miami mayor, Francis Suarez, is bending over backwards to get all of these tech companies to Miami. If you look at his Twitter, he's like, come mine Bitcoin here. I'm going to do this for you and that for you. At the same time, while we had COVID lockdowns, they shut down mom and pop businesses. They shut down small businesses and told them you cannot operate. People spent months, if not an entire year, without being able to make money. For all of you who followed Spike Cohen on his tour as the VP candidate for the Libertarian Party, when he came to Miami, the business that we were going to do his rally at, it had been shut down for 7 months. It was a club, a bar. It's actually a Cuban museum. It's a great place, and the government had shut them down. It is a great spot. Great mojitos too. And they were shut down for 7 months. And then we, asked to do an event there, and they were absolutely, please bring people in. We need this. And the government shut them down again. And then they don't get any tax breaks. They get nothing. They don't get any credits for the property that they continued to pay throughout the time. They get nothing. And we're giving tax incentives to other people to come here. So I think it's not only that we're giving corporate welfare, but then we're actively hurting small businesses in favor of these large businesses. And I think it's wrong. Government should never pick winners and losers. I think it's absolutely horrific. All right, I'll get off my soapbox. And let's take another question, Zach. And then I think we need to wrap it up because we don't want to go past the hour and annoy people too much.
Too much.
Too much. Just a little bit. We only need to give them a little bit of a weekly ear pulling.
Like a 3 out of 10.
Oh, here's a good one. Can I get your perspective on the border crisis? I still think maximizing freedom and minimizing coercion is best, but I am still thinking through foreign policy freedom. Ooh, that is a great question. So, Zach, you want to give it a go first?
In some ways, the government, the U.S. government, has some kind of a framework in place for filtering immigrants who could be national security threats. And in other ways, the system is greatly lacking. I'm familiar with this because one of my main activism projects for the last year and a half has been getting involved in the cases of bona fide, verifiable Venezuelan refugees fleeing from communism and trying to get them out of ICE detention. And there's a lot of games that ICE plays with people's cases and people's lives. That's absolutely unacceptable. One of the things that does work is the system works this way. If you've got a visa to get into the United States, or you're a U.S. citizen, you got a passport, you got the right to be here, either one of those two, but assuming you're a tourist or a foreign national, you'll have a tourist visa, student visa, work visa, whatever, you'll have a visa. So if you go to any airport or any port of entry, you show your visa, they let you in, no problem. If you do not have a visa and you either present yourself at the port of entry or you try to pay a coyote to smuggle you across the Rio Grande and start crossing the desert, well, the overwhelming majority of people who actually make the journey on foot, they get caught. They get caught. We're talking about making hundreds of miles on foot, and then the Border Patrol is just patrolling all day long, and they've got all kinds of tech and drones and all kinds of things. So nobody is really going to get through that. So they do catch people. From when they catch them, they take them to a migrant processing center. First, they just get them processed in the system. From there, they take them to an actual ICE detention center where they're going to spend anywhere from 6 months to 2 years before they're either released or deported. During that time, they will have interviews with an asylum officer. They will have a court case. So for people who actually presented some kind of national security threat to the United States, the overwhelming majority of those people do get filtered through, despite the hysteria that you've seen on Fox News, despite the hysteria that Tucker Carlson has promoted. So as far as, is our country going to be less safe because more people are getting in? No, the overwhelming majority of people who come in illegally do get caught. And many of the ones who can prove that they have a real incredible threat end up getting approved and released on a bond. That said, the flip side of that coin is the facilities are at maximum capacity and have been so for some time. If there is a refugee crisis, if the crisis is increasing, we got to roll with it, because ultimately this is a problem that we are going to have to deal with in some way, shape, or form. Maybe you guys are not dealing with this directly, but your tax dollars are still paying for these private contracts, for these private prisons owned by companies like Geo Group, LaSalle Corrections, and a half a dozen other ones. You're paying for this garbage. You are paying for people to be separated from their parents. You are paying for the prison industrial complex to hold people detained longer than they need to be detained, just so that they can make extra money off of human misery. And then when waves of migrants come, because every once in a while they do come in caravans. The one that was coming from Central America last year, that was nothing new. That was just new in the sense that Fox News and Newsmax and OAN decided to do hysteria about that. The crisis is a problem. We need more facilities. We need more personnel attending to that, which in my opinion, you could really downsize the crap out of ICE and assign more of their people just to handle some of these cases. But if I was going to downsize the government as a whole, one of the things that I would do is I would hire more asylum officers, because there's different types of personnel. There's deportation officers and there's asylum officers. Asylum officers are not with ICE. They're with CIS. different agency, but they're the ones who approve people to be here. So we are not adequately prepared for the crisis the way it is. People are packed like sardines because we're not prepared, but because more people are coming here on foot, you are not less physically safe. And that's all I got to say about that.
In this one, I have a tough time at the border. The libertarian in me says, come on in. But then there's a part of me that says national culture exists. I want to debate that point.
BS.
I live in Miami and there is no other city.
National culture exists. Just real quick. For all the people talking about the national culture, have you eaten tacos in the last 30 days? If you have had tacos in the last 30 days, the conversation is over.
Or Chinese food, or Indian
food, or Indian food,
Thai food, or Japanese. Do you like sushi? Because everybody in America likes sushi now. So not only that, there is no national culture. I live in Miami. Everybody here speaks Spanish. You live in LA. Everybody there speaks Spanish pretty much, which is completely different than if we go to some town in Wyoming or in even New York, even the cities that are Hispanic, like New York, like LA, like Miami, we have different Hispanics and it's a different culture. Again, San Francisco, and you have a lot of the Asian community, Texas that has a lot of Tex-Mex. There is no national at all culture.
Yeah, there is.
That is what makes America great.
There is the perception of a national American culture, which really a lot of people complaining about this are basing this on some idealized version of an American culture from the 1940s and the 1950s, which really that's Anglo-Saxon culture. Anglo-Saxon culture does exist, but it exists in multiple manifestations because people who live in Vermont and upstate New York have very little in common with Anglo-Saxons who live in Alabama or on the Mississippi coast. The other thing is, I say a myth of a national culture or a perception of national culture because we all watch movies and TV shows and whatnot. So we have this perception of American culture, but a lot of you would be absolutely shocked to find out how many people, how many faces that you associate with American culture to actually be Canadian actors or Canadian businessmen who are on TV a lot.
Or Mexican. Or
Mexican. There's a lot of Latinos that you would have no idea who were born outside the country.
I was actually surprised, and I don't remember her name, but the girl that did Queen's Gambit, the show that was super popular, the chess show on Netflix. She's Hispanic. I think she's Cuban. So I mean, and I would have never have known. I just think that we need to realize that a lot of people come from a lot of places and we don't necessarily have a culture. But anyways, there goes our hour. And I want to thank everybody who tuned in and watched us, everybody who shares our stuff, our content. I appreciate each and every one of you. It is for you and because of you that we are achieving something and getting out there, getting the word out about the Libertarian Party, about Argentinian. Thank you, Caitlin. I have to say, Caitlin is
hang up already. I'm late for a conference call. I love you all.
All right, guys, follow us on Twitter. See you next week. Peace.
Bye.